to see on Edward Bennett Williams. And this is Edward Bennett Williams says that Jesse Jackson came to see him because he thought he was in trouble with the U.S. government for misappropriating $1 million of the Push XL money. Page, for the record, page 464. When the establishment turned on Jackson, he came to Williams. In 1977, Senator Hubert Humphrey had seen a piece on 60 Minutes describing Jackson's attempts to motivate inner-city youth to get an education. Humphrey urged HEW Secretary Joe Califano. Now that's important that he was head of HEW, now Department of Health and Human Services, because Joe Califano worked for the U.S. Army at the time Martin King was assassinated. So he was he was the legal advisor to the Secretary of the U.S. Army, and Secretary of the U.S. Army was Cyrus Vance. His military attaché was Al Haig, and his legal counsel was Joe Califano. Not one single book on any King assassination or Kennedy assassination appropriately brings up the role of Vance, Haig, and Califano. So now Califano is on the inside, having been an assassin. Now he's going to help Jesse Jackson, having been an assassin. And Jesse Jackson goes to Califano. It says, Jackson gratefully asked Califano for $25,000 grant. Califano told him he needed, quote, $1 million. Now, how many white people you ever met? You asked them for a quarter and they gave you $100. You ever met a white person do that? So it's strange. Jesse would walk into the government, ask for a $25,000 grant. Califano told him he needed $1 million, and then proceeded to give the black leader $6 million. Of the $6 million, he misappropriated $1 million. Now the feds got him for misappropriation of funds. He's $1 million missing. Reagan becomes the president. Jesse gets scared. He asks Edward Bennett Williams to talk to Reagan to cut him a deal on the million. Edward Bennett Williams says, when the federal auditors asked to look at Jackson's books early in the Reagan administration, they found chaos. Jackson's organization, Push XL, see, you saw that other thing said Rainbow Coalition. When Push had to pay back the money, he left the leaned organization, L-I-E-N, lean, like lean on your debt. He left the organization that had a lien on it and went to Washington and set up another organization. When Push paid back the lien, he leaves Washington and sets up Push Rainbow Coalition. Check? Okay, because you got to watch him. He's a magician. But the white man is his Merlin. Jackson's organization, Push XL, was unable to account for $1 million of the money. The matter was referred to the Justice Department. Jackson came to Williams claiming that he was a victim of a vendetta by the Republicans. The case was dragging on, producing unflattering newspaper stories at a time when Jackson was trying to raise money for his 1988 presidential campaign. And Williams says that when he talked with the Reagan administration, he said quite the contrary. They were not only not trying to arrest Jackson, but had favorable viewpoints of him, so much so that they cut a deal to pay back $550,000 of the misappropriated money at $125,000 a year. And again, as I said earlier, that's when Jesse left Chicago, went to D.C. Just a case in point. The only point to that is no black man would ever be allowed to pay back a misappropriated grant when Abernathy's son just went down for $1,500. Now, I just want to keep that in line. Now, let's go back to something else very critical. Washington Post story. This story is dated July 12, 1999. And the story, which I've now collaborated from the declassified documents that I have, FBI examined private life of King's successor. It says that after King died, the FBI began to investigate Coretta Scott King, Ralph Abernathy, and Andy Young. They emphatically said, we cannot trust these three. And we must do everything we can. They dropped the investigation of Coretta. They then went on to do to Andy and to do to Ralph what they had done to Martin. That was on April 12th that they signed the memo. On April 12th, I'm going to show you Jesse Jackson announcing that every time there's a crucifixion, there's a resurrection. Saying that he is the resurrected man. Okay, what's that other tape you got there, Mr. Brown? Let's put this one in. Okay, let's put that one in and take it backwards a little bit. There's no other tape that back there that you have? And that one is still rolling? Okay. Now, Jesse's a strong proponent of the no Raul theory. And again, I showed you when I was here last.
We were totally dependent on Dr.
Yeah, turn the lights down. Now run it backwards. Run it backwards. That's Jackie saying that when the assassination went down, Jesse called her. And Jesse said, Jackie, Martin's dead. You're going to hear about it, but Martin's dead. And Jackie, she says, well, what are we going to do now, Jesse? She didn't say, how's Coretta? She didn't say, how's everybody else? She didn't say, is anybody hurt? She said, Jesse, what are we going to do now? Something you want to tell me? Okay, gotcha. Okay, and in this picture, now, yeah, this is Jesse announcing he's available for leadership. But just keep going back, because I want to put this in context. Oh, there's the white man, Don Rose. He's very important, because Don Rose, the white man, just stop it. Freeze. Oh, right there. Hold him up against the wall. Don Rose, great. His name, you all don't know him. I'm from Chicago. Don Rose is the white man that you see when you black to get the white media to report on you. You don't go call NBC, you don't call CBS, you call Don Rose, and he gets the media. When I was attacked and fired out of the mayor's office in Chicago, it was Don Rose who coordinated the white media's attack on me, which came May 1st, the Illuminati birthday, 1988. Don Rose is the man that Jesse Jackson left town to meet up, who put him on the Today Show the next morning after Martin was killed to start the discussion that Jesse is the heir apparent to Martin King. And you'll hear him say, I told Jesse, and we reinforced each other, that Jesse was the likely choice. Well, excuse me, Mr. White Man. Are you in the SCLC? And doesn't it seem odd, Mr. White Man, that outside of the FBI, you're the only other white man that feels it's your job to pick the black man to run the black organization? See, it takes a lot of arrogance for me to stand here and say who's going to be head of the next ADL. Lieutenants of Satan. That would be like, well, you ain't even in the group. You can't even vote them in. But everybody don't know Don Rose. He's another one of those white people of the Jewish religion that got their fingerprints on the King assassination. And you don't know him. There used to be something in Chicago called Triple C. And Don Rose was the front man behind Al Raby, who was one of Martin King's associates, one of Harold Washington's associates, who died writing the resolution for the Black Jewish Coalition condemning Steve Coakley on November 25th, 1989. Al Raby dies laying on the resolution condemning me. Whatever there was struck his ass dead with a heart attack at 155 pounds, 5'9". Okay. Now let's keep going backwards. Let's just keep going backwards because I'm going to show you Jesse in the courtyard. Now remember we saw the people falsely pointing. For the record, in this picture is the man Raul, who's picked out of a lineup by a white woman named Gregory, and Raul is standing next to Lee Harvey Oswald, who's standing next to Clay Shaw. Point being that the people who killed in the Kennedy came around for the king. Okay? Same squad. Notice Jesse, does he have a tie on? Now remember we heard, stop right there. That's Calvin Moore. Oh, stop right there. Look at Jesse, no tie on. That ain't important yet. That's been branched. Jesse wouldn't wear a tie that night. The briefing to the military men is friendlies will not be wearing ties. Ralph had on a tie. Martin was made to put his tie on. But Jesse emphatically wasn't going to wear no tie. And when we look at the people